All right, well, things may be looking a little bleak for the MMO market. I mean, last year we lost a lot of upcoming MMOs that we thought were going to be great. Warhammer, New World shut down, the Amazon MMO that was going to be for Lord of the Rings quietly pulled, Fantastic Pixel Castle. I mean, there was a lot of upcoming MMOs that were just like cut before we really even got to see much of them. Now, having said that, not all is lost. And as someone who has loved the MMO genre for a very long time, I still have hope that there is more to come for this genre. Although I will say that it's probably going to be different than what we are expecting and what we've experienced in the past. So I'm going to cover 4 up-and-coming MMOs, either that they have already released or they're about to release or they're on development schedule, that I'm keeping an eye on that I think will be really good and that have a lot of potential. Now, if you like MMOs, you got to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm sorry, that's the rules. I don't make them. That's just the genre. If you've been around, you gotta like it, you gotta subscribe. I can't help it. All right, so starting off, Project Gorgon is one that has only really appeared in my line of sight, we'll say, for in the past couple of months, because I had no idea that it existed. And it has started out somewhat small, but it's steadily gaining traction and steadily gaining, we'll say, momentum. So it is focused around being a 3D MMORPG that is really looking to emphasize that world exploration and that player choice, which again are some of the most key elements to enjoying any kind of MMO, let's be serious. What's really unique and something that I'm very excited about is the idea of mixing their combat skills. So there's a total of 21 combat skills, and you can master all the different ones that are available, meaning that you can have them leveled up and skilled and appropriately set up. However, you can only ever use 2 in combat, which really sounds like, to me, the idea of like Guild Wars Reforged, the idea of dual classing, where it's like you have your primary class and then you have a secondary class. And then once you reach a certain point in the story, you can utilize a different class and bounce back and forth and switch to whatever you want. It's not permanent. Now, it seems like you'll be able to switch this, maybe not necessarily on the fly, like while you're in combat, but when you're out and about, you'll be able to switch up to be more of a unarmed, a melee combatant, or using fire, or using like a fireball or maybe a bow. And you can use these in a whole bunch of different combinations to really make a unique build, which I love. I love that aspect of Guild Wars Reforged. I'm excited to see what they have for Project Gorgon. And honestly, I like that it isn't necessarily too intrusive for you to go and have to switch and go back and forth. It kind of sounds like Final Fantasy XIV's job system, where you can level up the job, you can have that as, you know, one of your alts, and you could just switch it on the fly just by a press of a button. Bam, you're the new job. And it sounds like Project Gorgon has that going for it. So something that's interesting, and I had to read up on it, but they have like permanent, we'll say, choices that affect your character. So like they had lycanthropy or lycanthrop, I can never say it right, but where you accidentally turn into a wolf. The moon comes out, you howl, and it's a whole bunch of fun. It seems like they have this as like you can get infected and then you can turn into a lycanthrope on almost demand. However, it has real world effects so that if it's nighttime and the moon is out, you automatically turn into that and you can't leave until the moon goes out. Like, to me, that's really cool. Like, that's an experience that you have, and it's like, oh no, I got infected, oh crap. And now it's like, I can use really strong skills when I'm a lycanthrope, but now I'm also permanently a wolf. So I like that adds like a sense of adventure and almost like, we'll say, character development, character growth, backstory, so to speak. Oh, he became a wolf. It has a demo that you can try out. I think it's up until like level 15, but then they also have the full version of the game, which came out at the beginning of this year, end of January of this year. And the game's going for about like $25, which honestly, for it to start out and to get moving, you keep an eye on that. That's one that I think may be worth actually sitting down and playing. I might actually do a video on that. We'll have to see. All right, the next one that I want to talk about is Pantheon: Rise of the Fallen. This is an MMO that I have played before. I played when it came out a few months after it came out. I still have the game, and it has done nothing but grow since that time. And it came out at the end of, I think, of like 2024. And it's still continuously growing and gaining popularity. It's constantly being developed. You can watch the live streams of the development of it. Joppa, I think is his name. It's a really good classic MMO. It has like 14 classes, has a whole bunch of different race combinations that you can do. They are isolated, by the way, so it's like a halfling can't become like a paladin or something like that. Yeah, you know, you have to kind of pick which classes you are going to go, and then they are race locked. So that's something that I like. It adds to the aesthetic. One kind of downfall that I have with Guild Wars 2 is that everyone can become everything. Like a Sylvari engineer really, to me, is like, I don't know if that works. But a Char engineer, that's where it's at. And they take this a step further, really emphasizing the idea of grouped combat. And they have 4 separate roles. And that's right, 4 roles in an MMO. So they have the Holy Trinity, which is tank, healer, DPS. But then they also have the support role, which is probably going to be providing boons, which is going to be probably assisting allies with healing, maybe tank mitigation, DPS boost, things like that. So it's not necessarily primarily one of the main 3, which I actually really like. I think having a support class, having like a bard or something along those lines that provides a group benefit is critical. I think that's something that most modern MMOs miss. And in my experience, one of my favorite things about this game is that every fight is difficult. It isn't necessarily like a pushover, you can clean up all the mobs and then move on. Every fight is a strong, you have to want it. You have to actually fight, and it's like tooth and nail to win. And then even some of the harder hitting mobs, you absolutely have to have a group to handle. I remember even in some of the starting areas, you really had to fight against a tough enemy, and you needed to have a group of like 3 or 4 people to be able to take it down. I like that because that's what makes MMOs great, is that you do have to group up and you do have to coordinate with other players to make this work. 100%. Really, really good. And on top of that, it mixes other elements that I wish that more MMOs would do, which is like having certain climates, and you need to have certain gear to resist those climates. Like if it's really cold, you need to have like a warmth factor. If it's really hot, you know, you need to have like hydration. Like there's little elements that you need to have to be able to survive in the specific areas. And that's something that I wish more MMOs would have, is because it makes it more of an RPG in that sense. It's kind of like a little touch on survival, but again, the genres get blended. Something that I really, really like is the fact that it is that classic MMO, and it's going for, I believe, $40 right now. But it's constantly being developed, and again, you can watch the live stream of it. It really is an MMO that I really think captures the MMORPG, the early 2000s MMORPG classic era kind of vibe. So that's a MMO that I think you might want to pay attention to. All right, Scars of Honor is the next one that I would like to talk about, and this one is having a playtest that's coming up at the end of this month. It is, I believe it's like April 30th through May 11th, so you'll finally be able to really try it out and see what it looks like. Personally, when I initially looked at it, I was like, this kind of looks like a mobile game. And that was my first initial thoughts, but after being propagandized, I saw it everywhere. It was on like Twitter, it was on my YouTube feed. It was popping up in all my suggestions. After looking at it, it seems like it has a lot more going for it than I initially thought. It has that action RPG vibes. It has the MMO element. It looks like it's going to have a bunch of different races and classes that you'll be able to play as. And possibly the biggest thing that I'm most excited for, let me put it this way, is the idea of factions. There's 2 different factions that you'll be able to play. One of the aspects that I loved the most about World of Warcraft was the Horde versus the Alliance. And like even going back to Warcraft 3 or Warcraft 2, like I played the hell out of those games because it was like, yeah, I played as a human. That was always my character. I always wanted to, you know, beat back the orcs. And then it's like, oh, I mained a human Warcraft 3 because I really like that. I like the idea of being able to go back and forth against the factions and have this like kind of open warfare. Now, I don't really know too much about it. We'll have to see more about the playtest, but that is coming up, and it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. It has like a very unique build system where you earn these scars, which give you permanent bonuses and stuff like that. And then it has dungeons that are ever changing. They're never the same is what they've advertised. So it has a lot of elements about MMOs. The combat looks amazing. The combat looks like a lot of fun, and that's where I'm kind of holding on hope. I'm holding on hope. We'll have to see. We'll have to try it out, but that is an upcoming MMO that I'm very intently watching. It's something that I would recommend you keeping an eye on as well. Oh, and by the way, the best aspect of it, free to play. I love free to play. Oh my goodness. All right, and the last one on this list is Monsters and Memories, which is an upcoming classic MMORPG. And I mean, it's classic like early 2000s, even pre World of Warcraft. We're talking like old school RuneScape-esque kind of combat and gameplay. Now, this is one that I had to really dig for because I couldn't find out any I really haven't seen much information, but it's out there and it's working its way in. And this is quoting from their website, is that one of the things that they're looking to do is to really create that classic slower pace of combat and leveling for MMOs. And the reason for that is that it shouldn't be a rush. And that's kind of the idea that they are trying to stick with, is that the adventure is actually journeying to the maximum level and journeying through this world as you get incrementally stronger through your leveling, which I honestly loved. It's one of the reasons that I really enjoyed playing WoW TBC. I had a great time doing that because I was able to constantly be working my way forward and getting better gear and getting better skills. And it seems like Monsters and Memories is going to have that same kind of vibe. And honestly, if you go ahead and take a look, you can see all the unique artwork and it is phenomenal. It all looks hand-drawn and it looks amazing. It really, really does look phenomenal. And it's something that I'm very excited about because I like that it feels cozy, you know, like it's a cozy kind of MMO. The only other cozy MMO that I really, I can really be drawn to is like Lord of the Rings Online. It's cozy. I love it. But what's really exciting about this is that it has the potential to be that like in that same realm of like old school RuneScape, because it does have that older era vibes, that older era graphics, where that's gonna, for me at least, that's gonna draw my type of people in who, I don't know, we like to be slower, we like to be deliberate. It's not a mad rush into the end game and an endless cycle to keep up. Now, before you guys get too excited, they've already said that this will be a subscription-based MMORPG. And the reason being is because they are essentially funding this out of the team's creator 100%. This is not being funded by a publisher. This is not being funded by some other large business entity that's interjecting their opinions and pushing things to be completed. It is simply just a team of volunteers and one donor. Like that's what's I'm actually very interested in, because that doesn't dilute the pot, right? You have the developers and you have the people who have a vision for the game and they're working on it. Again, hesitant, but I'm very excited for that type of gameplay. Now, there's also, I should say, and I was able to find this onto their website, is that they actually show every expenditure of like what they're doing and how much of their money is being moved where. And they plan on doing that for the foreseeable future so players can see where all the money is being spent, where their subscription is going. I like that kind of transparency because, again, like if I'm going to be paying $10 to $15 a month to play a game, I kind of want to know, where is my money going? Where is it being allocated? And it's really, really a great thing. I highly recommend you guys taking a look at the website and then just keeping an eye, because they do have closed betas, but it's only invite only. So just keep in mind that it is on its way. It's in the background. It's being worked on with a target. I believe that they're targeting the early access of June of this year. So we'll see what happens. Again, keep it on your mindset. So I do want to just say that MMORPGs are one of my favorite genres. I think it is my favorite genre, and it's not something that I want to see, we'll say, always have such a negative connotation nowadays. I do think that, you know, that reputation could be besmirched a little bit by like World of Warcraft, but overall, I really think that there is still good reasons to be excited about the MMO market. I mean, of course, you have your staples, you have WoW, you have Final Fantasy XIV, Guild Wars 2, ESO, Star Wars, Old Republic, Lord of the Rings Online. I mean, there's lots of other MMOs that are still out there that are still cooking, and those are the big ones, which are being residual. But there's still hope for the future, and that's kind of what I'm holding on to. What do you think? Am I foolish for having that hope? Tell me in the comment section down below. I do want to highlight one of my video series, which is just the Caffeinated Thoughts. All I'm doing here is just having a thought about an MMO and something that I'd like to share with you. It's meant to be a conversation. As always, stay caffeinated, folks.